100% sure right now is how. Okay, cool. Awesome. So here we are, Classic Metal versus Chip from Space. Now, I haven't seen Classic Metal play too much on these recent patches. I've seen a lot of Chip playing on this recent patch, and darn, is he good at this so far.
Classic Metal
So,
strategy still works on this patch, I have to say. The just heavy tier 1 play with no real big engagement and going into a good one base push definitely seems to work for him still.
right now, we do see them going with that usual build here. Chip from Space getting the owl out in his build. Let's go. The game has now started. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your top 4 right now. Classic Metal versus Chip from Space.
Alright, you have Classic Metal in the south side of the map in blue, so as Bellafeed, and Chip from Space to the northwest as Quartermaster in green. Classic Metal's going with Chameleons. It's
Chameleons,
perhaps an interesting choice.
It's a unit we haven't really seen too much perform spectacularly quite yet, despite its recent buffs. So hopefully Classic Metal looking to do something very interesting with those Chameleons. Although it's going to be very... The problem I can see with this is that Chip from Space opted to go with a mostly flying composition with the Pigeon, Falcons, and the Floating Owl above, even though the Owl mostly attacks with melee mice.
And the units on the ground that he does have, the Squirrels and Toads, the Toads are very potent against Chameleons. So Classic Metal may have to adjust his build and go for a quick Fox, which is something we have seen quite a lot these past 2 weeks.
Now, considering Classic Metal's position, he can actually pretty much turtle himself in here. He has a nice little safe expansion to his right side that he can take advantage of. And he does have that barbed wire and the mine combination to stave off any aggression from Chip from Space, who actually doesn't have a natural barbed wire counter. Well, actually, he does in the form of mice, but it's going to take a bit of time before he gets that owl up unless he decides to rush it.
Well, the players have been favoring rather fast tier 3s as of late, so chances are we will see that owl come into play unless the game ends very fast. But Classic Metal does seem to be wanting to secure this high ground right outside his base and perhaps go for that expansion as well. And both players are going up to 6 squirrels, and then we'll see if builds deviate.
Both sides posturing their units closer to the battlefield that will eventually come between them right now. Classic Metal definitely wants to take control of that high ground. In the meantime, Chip from Space just scouting things around, looking for a way into Classic Metal's base here that he can just avoid. Classic Metal still not committing to too much quite yet, just putting down a single mine at the high ground entrance. So something for his opponent to deal with. Also, he didn't see the mine finish building, it looks like. He even gets sniped out by the squirrel entourage there, so going to basically shut down Chip's scouting in that area for the time being. The only way he can pretty much scout Classic Metal's side is if he goes around the left side of the map.
Both players going for some Toads, despite only really scouting Squirrels so far, which I do find interesting. I don't know if the Toads are that effective. Chip from Space does have Pigeons, so in Squirrel versus Squirrel battles, those Pigeons can definitely tip the scales in his favor, but we'll have to see if he decides to build them.
In the meantime, both sides just content with farming up their own units at the moment right now. Both of them at the full 8 farm count already. And Classic Metal continuing to build his giant squirrel ball as Chip from Space does the same, although he is favoring a little bit more Toads in his composition, 9 Toads, compared to Classic Metal's paltry 3 Toads.
Yeah, I don't know if these Toads are going to be all that effective. Classic Metal's saving up quite a bit of food here, so he may be looking to go for a Fox, trying to hide the Warren somewhere.
As far as he can behind his base. There it is. No possible way for Chip from Space to scout this one out, unless he goes for the extreme ring around the rosy here. And Classic Metal taking that expansion to the bottom, just ensuring that he has coverage of this high ground area, just prevent Chip from getting
Chip,
any information
going
whatsoever.
to scouts for a potential tier 3, but it's on the high ground, so he will not spot it. Really nice play from Classic Metal there. So we have about a minute until the Fox comes out, and now Chip from Space is going to start his own tier 3.
Alright, now my question is, how will Classic Metal actually utilize the Fox in this case? Most of Chip's buildings and farms are on the high ground right now, and Fox doesn't have the best vision without any flying units, so...
Yes, Classic Metal will have to pick his angle. He can go slightly to the east of Chip's base and start poking from there, so there is some way to run around, but Chip can definitely sit on his high ground.
Speaking of tier 3s, here we have an owl now building from Chip from Space. He recognizes possible danger from what Classic Metal is doing right now, and just getting that early owl out, making sure he has a strong fighting force in the form of the mice. And at this point, ClassicMetal has started to put down barbed wire to the right side of his base, trying to put some more money into the farms to beef up his economy so he can just explode in army value. But in the meantime, ChipFromSpace slowly going on ahead, one full warren ahead of ClassicMetal in terms of the number of squirrels right now.
ClassicMetal's fox is done, so this is where he needs to start doing something. There's still some time on that owl, so he has a chance to do some damage here.
All right,
But he will need some vision up on that hill. It seems to be just taking a defensive position for now. I don't know if this is going to be the right play.
Space putting down several little machine gun nests on the edge of the high ground there to make sure that he has some nice little coverage there. Also gives some extra vision as well.
ClassicMetal being very, very careful with this fox.
And the question is,
it's going to take a bit of an economic lead here, because Chip isn't really building that many farms, but Chip has a really strong army, and the fox will take some time to chew through this, especially with the mice taking shots.
It's going to be all about those mines, just trying to trick ChipFromSpace into running over those mines. But Chip, playing very conservatively right now, he has not quite gathered his army for a full-on assault yet, waiting for money of his own, it looks like. Actually, now he's going to bring his units down. He's headed his way towards the high ground. He does see all of ClassicMetal's units on the field. He does bring his units up there, and the mines do go off right there. The Owls in the front lines trying to take all those shots, and now the Toads are pouring in. There are too many Toads for ClassicMetal to handle, and they just destroy his squirrels.
Chip taking a pretty big lead there.
Only a single fox left. I think only one squirrel died from Chip's army there. All toads all the time.
Combination of mice and toads. The mice tanking some shots so the toads could come in and explode. Definitely working for Chip. I was going to mention it, but then the fight happened. So a really interesting unit composition. Now he's looking for a different angle, but there may be too much barbed wire to deal with to go for it quickly.
Oh, not for the mice right there. The mice can just take out the barbed wire instantly right now, and there they go, just making their way towards the barbed wire with just hatred of the spiky little things right there. Oh, he has to be a little careful. He does lose most of the mice in the minefield explosion. So not enough mice for the time being. You have to wait for a few more seconds, and now here we go. More explosions now coming down. Although ClassicMetal has positions units a little bit better this time, away from the side, so only a few of his units actually get taken out. And now the mice are now finally down. The owl is killed. The bomb explodes, and the mice are trying to go everywhere as fast as they can. And they're actually taking out a good number of ClassicMetal's units, but he does have the reinforcements to defend this high ground, so it does hold for the time being.
The important thing is that Chip lost his owl, and it's going to take. He's forced to sell the warren because he can't reinforce his army fast enough. And now ClassicMetal has this fox that he can use to start poking away at units. Has to be careful though, taking a lot of damage there, knowing that he doesn't have any pigeons to heal it.
Yep, the nice little wind-up time for the fox to get the shots down is just enough for the toads to make their way in. Now here we go. Once again, ClassicMetal trying to stream his way forward, but again, the toads are doing so much damage to ClassicMetal's main army, and now the fox is in trouble. ClassicMetal has to get his fox away from the battlefield, and now this time it's Chip who is going to hold. Nice little machine gun nest on the high ground as well to make sure it gets a little hard for ClassicMetal to make his way into the base. Now both sides looking to take things a little bit more slowly.
Definitely buying Chip a lot of time to replenish here, and Chip has almost twice the squirrel numbers here. Both players going for fairly high toads numbers as well. ClassicMetal could sell some of his barbed wire for some extra income, but taking another base is going to be quite tricky.
Right now Chip streaming his way down to the bottom of the field right now. He does see ClassicMetal's units. He's going to try to approach with the toads first right now. Toads versus toads at the moment, blowing each other up. And now only squirrels are left on the battlefield, but there are too many from Chip's side. ClassicMetal has to be very careful. He's losing some reinforcement squirrels on the left side of the map here. Although, actually, they're taking out the back line of Chip's army here. And now Chip, he has no more squirrels left on the field right now. The fox takes out the final one, and Chip has to run away. He had some toads coming in for the reinforcements, but they're a little bit too slow. Now ClassicMetal chasing after Chip, trying to get a few hits off the army right there.
I think that was a misplay from Chip. If he could have stood and fought, the fox was out alone on 15 HP. That's not too many squirrel shots. So I think he could have killed the fox there, but instead decided to retreat.
Right now, Chip has not felt comfortable enough to transition to anything else right now. He had to sell the Owl Warren earlier. Only has squirrels and toads. Could this be the time for ClassicMetal to think about going to chameleons now?
Both players have to be very careful with how they spend their food, though. These second bases are going to mine out sooner rather than later. Chip's base is going to take a little longer because he got the farms a bit later than ClassicMetal. ClassicMetal does have access to a third, but getting farms on that is going to be... He has to do it really slowly and carefully.
A very strange game indeed. It feels like we're playing a scarcity game here, but there's just plenty of farm for both sides to take. Chip and ClassicMetal getting their third expansions, although ClassicMetal will be on the uptake first, putting down 4 farms immediately. 5 farms immediately onto that third expansion, while Chip from Space hasn't gotten his mill quite built yet. This is going to give ClassicMetal a few more minutes here. Just get something set up, putting down some more mines in the middle of the field here. He
I really
knows
wish ClassicMetal would be a bit more active with his Fox, because he's just sitting in a defensive position trying to get some mines up. But these farms, when they're done for Chip, are in a pretty exposed position.
He doesn't want to accidentally run uphill and suddenly see a giant army of frogs facing down the Fox. So just playing this one a little bit safely, a little carefully here, just making sure that his Fox doesn't run into any trouble, because this is his big major unit right now. Has an army of squirrels and toads just chaperoning it around the map right now, making sure it's safe. Anytime Chip from Space, now just committed to the turtling defense here, putting down some more machine gun nests that he knows the Fox cannot shoot at all. So it is
I think
definitely
ClassicMetal was spending too much time here on the defense, just perhaps playing a bit too safe.
He's put a lot of money into the farms right now, and already his second expansion is starting to die out. Only 3 farms left on it. So he's just focusing really hard, getting his food back up. In the meantime, Chip doing the same thing. Both sides, it looks like we may have a bit of a reset in terms of economy here, as both sides are just looking to play this one a little bit slowly.
Chip going for another owl 10 minutes and 30 seconds into the game. ClassicMetal is going to go for this attack, but I don't know if that's a good idea right now.
Right now he's trying to take out the machine gun nest, but Chip's army is coming in from the backside, and they actually are targeting the Fox. The Fox needs to run to the front lines of the battle in order to escape Chip's little flank here. And actually, the Fox only on 6 HP right now. Chip is trying to take it out. It's gone. The pigs actually snipe it out. The squirrels too. And now ClassicMetal has nothing in for his army right now. His Fox is just supply blocked, as is every single other unit on the field. ClassicMetal hurriedly trying to get his units up on the field, but right now it's getting a little hard to. At the very least, he does have barbed wire, so the squirrels have to walk through the barbed wire to do some damage. Toad Explosion is doing some collateral damage, but he is going to hold for the time being. He's not selling up the Warren. Chip from Space, however, also supply blocked from his own tier 3, so we're not going to see his owl come out anytime soon. In the meantime, Chip from Space, all he can really do is just chip away at ClassicMetal's units that poke their heads out from behind the barbed wire. And once again, both sides just running away, licking their wounds here.
And this probably a good turn of events for ClassicMetal in the long run, because Chip is going to have to replace those farms. He lost 4 of them in total, which is probably not really food he can afford to spend right now, as this owl is still delayed. ClassicMetal does sell his Fox, so it is going to be just squirrels and toads, but I think ClassicMetal has the advantage with the barbed wire, if he can get more of it up and secure. If he can secure this last mill with landmines, I think Chip will eventually just starve out.
27 squirrels on their way, 21 currently on the field right now. He's actually approaching Chip's base from the south side. Chip has his toads out in the front line, trying to take out as many as they can. There they go, explosions going off, taking out half the squirrel army right now. It's going to be 8 versus 3 squirrels. It's not enough for Chip. Chip loses a lot of his army here. He has nothing on the field to actually defend from ClassicMetal's 12 squirrels. He has some reinforcements streaming in one by one, but all ClassicMetal's going to do, he's just going to go after the farms instead. Doesn't care about the Warrens or the armies at all. He wants to starve out Chip from Space. He knows he's in a good position in terms of food, and Chip has not pressured his farm at all. And just squirrels of ClassicMetal, all clad in blue, just streaming their way in towards the green base, taking out farms one after the other.
All of ClassicMetal's squirrels are on 2 HP though, so he will lose most of them. So now it's Chip with a slight bleed in numbers, and Chip has an owl now, so this barbed wire is vulnerable.
ClassicMetal gonna retreat for the time being. He's done some nice economic damage to Chip, but Chip does have that beefy owl on the field, and now mice are pouring onto the battlefield from its gaping jaw. Now,
ClassicMetal will have to make sure his toads explode on the mice.
He also has the farm to he's slowly reinforcing his army back up thanks to the 8 farms he currently has on the field. But the mice, they're proving to be a bit of a problem right now. He has to spend a lot of time fighting them off here. And Chip from Space is going to use this to just reset his own economy, just trying to rebuild the farms he lost. He needs that money in order to sustain his army. At the very least, he has the owl, so he has continued supply. But it looks like ClassicMetal does not want him to give him that chance. He's going to go on in right now, trying to take out as many as he can. Also, almost all the squirrels are gone. The owl has popped as well, and the mice are streaming in. They're being taken out immediately as well by the squirrels from ClassicMetal's side. And now ClassicMetal is free to take out this mill. Mill already passed that half HP point, and it's gone. Chip from Space in starvation mode right now. He has 60 seconds to find a way to salvage this, but it doesn't look like he'll have the time as ClassicMetal is just continuing to march him down, taking out Warren after Warren. And no matter how many reinforcements Chip can get, they're not enough to stave off this aggression. And ClassicMetal doing such a nice job here, holding off against Chip's aggression throughout this entire round. Both sides taking trades, but it's going to be ClassicMetal taking the first game of this one as ChipFromSpace. Looks like he's just trying to find his way around. That's it. That's the GG. And ClassicMetal will claim game number 1.
That was a pretty long one. 14 minutes for a first game. That's not something we see too often. But nicely, colossal defensive play from ClassicMetal. The Fox just didn't do much in terms of what we usually see it do, but I think it worked this game.
It was a really nice defensive game after all, and I think the saving grace for ClassicMetal was that he had a lot more defensives, and he took a really huge economical gamble early on and really staved off for that long, even though he wasn't trading all that well. And the reason why he didn't actually use his Fox offensively, because both of Chip's bases were on actually the high ground, and he didn't have pigeons. And I think we should see maybe some ferrets or pigeons again, although this worked, so I cannot judge.
The barbed wire and mines combo seems to work quite well for ClassicMetal. We'll have to see if Chip adapts his build or thinks he can do it.
Chip going for that boar in his build.
Boar, yeah. I wanted to mention the boar as well. It can prove viable in forthcoming matches. Also, I just like to say that ClassicMetal is maybe exposed to MG Rush, but I don't think we are gonna see this in a game.
ClassicMetal going the same deck he did from the last one. Don't go with what ain't broke. And there we go, ChipFromSpace grabbing the balloon as his 6th unit. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be game number 2. ClassicMetal in the blue in the center of the map. ChipFromSpace on the left side of the map. Here we go. Game number 2 is off to a very interesting start in terms of base placement.
Yeah, ChipFromSpace is not in a very good position on this map. His one expansion is directly toward ClassicMetal, and there is a road between these two bases, so probably looking at a one-base game from Chip, unless he can do something funky.
Boar Rush, maybe?
There are no moles, unfortunately. I'm expecting to see a one-base. Oh, yes, there's going to be a one-base boar rush. Well, not rush, but early boar. Probably what we'll see here. And if ClassicMetal has a lot of squirrels, then I think that's going to be quite effective.
All right. Well, in any case, both sides just taking this one a little bit slowly. ClassicMetal not actually going for anything aggressive right now. Both sides having that 7th farm at the moment, possibly going to go into that 8th farm. It looks like ChipFromSpace returning to base. There it is, the 8th farm for both sides. It looks like.
No, it's a little bit risky, I think, on a really tiny map like this. I don't think going 8 farms is all that safe.
Ooh, ClassicMetal going to go for the 7th farm. Warren here. So he can get his squirrels out very early. Oh, 6th farm. Okay, here we go. The 6th farm jukes here.
Yeah, with Chip going for 8 farm Warren and placing his Warren out in front, I think ClassicMetal has a pretty good shot at this because he does have this road to speed up his reinforcements as well.
And now, the first few squirrels are popping up for ClassicMetal at this moment. ChipFromSpace only has 2 Warrens on the field, neither of them with any units quite yet. Now, 4 squirrels at the ready. He feels ready for the attack, making his way down that road towards ChipFromSpace. Chip sees this. He does have a few squirrels to defend with, and he's going to use the Warren to tank some shots right now. It's actually kind of working. ClassicMetal is losing a lot. Already lost 2 units right now. Chip finally loses his first squirrel, but no, ClassicMetal also falls in battle. And he does take out at least 1 Warren here. And actually takes out a squirrel. Can he take out a farm? Maybe not quite yet. ClassicMetal's first attempt at the attack, not the most successful thing.
Okay, ClassicMetal is going to opt for the safe play and reinforce his economy, but now he's going to be behind in army value, even though he took out a Warren from Chip. Losing his commander there caused him to lose quite a few more squirrels than he perhaps wanted. So now it's going to be up to ClassicMetal to try and hold this, and he doesn't have a very good spot to put barbed wire that makes him safe with just 1 tile, so he's going to have to be very careful with his positioning here.
It's like ChipFromSpace. He's going to try to overwhelm ClassicMetal's numbers at the moment, 9-6 right now. And here he goes, just taking out ClassicMetal's squirrels one by one. There's not enough numbers of the takeout Chip. We might not even have to see the board in action. Chip is doing such a fantastic job with the squirrels right now. He's going to retreat for the time being, already taking out his army and a Warren as well.
ClassicMetal's positioning, sitting in the river like that, I don't know if that was the play he wanted to make, because he with Chip tanking his warrants earlier, he was able to take a favorable trade, and now it was Classic Metal couldn't do the same. He's trying to get this mine up, but Chip is just going to go again.
Oh, the Toad Explosion does a good enough damage to the squirrels, and once again, Classic Metal is left without an army. He has a few numbers on the other side of the river, but they're also being taken out as well, and Chip is just overwhelming Classic Metal at this point. GG called. 1-1 right now, ladies and gentlemen. A quick game number 2 will be the end of that.
Classic Metal unable to hold an advantage right there.
Unable to kill that Warren fast enough also.
I don't think you can kill Chip early. I've tried it several times, and it just doesn't work. Chip really knows how to use his warrants for tanking, and you can even see the Classic Metal taking some damage from it, which means the squirrels weren't shooting the squirrels, right? So even with that advantage, it still went Chip's way.
Yeah, definitely the Warren and army positioning was just perfect from Chip there. Only losing one Warren, but then Classic Metal felt like he had to get the economy again, and he could just swing it around. So ChipFromSpace evening it up 1-1 now, heading into a third game right away.
All right, ChipFromSpace going with almost the same build. It looks like we're going to see what his 6th unit is going to be. Classic Metal sticking with the same build. It looks like we're going to see a salty run back here. It's going to be game number 3 between these two. 1-1 right now. Let's see who's going to be the first to break this tie. It's Classic Metal in the blue, in the north side of the map. ChipFromSpace in the south side. Or I guess southwest.
This looks like a map we could have had in the map draft tournament, actually. There are some... It's pretty interesting.
A lot of water for Classic Metal to have to deal with.
Yeah, both players do have a good amount of building space, despite there being a lot of water, and enough options to expand.
The nice thing, though, that there is some road in between their bases, so there is a pathway for their units to take that is, relatively straightforward.
It's just going to be up to ChipFromSpace. If he plays for an expansion, he will have to secure several angles towards it, so that may be something Classic Metal can exploit, whereas Classic Metal has a rather easier time to get up a second base. And if we see a repeat of the first game, well, we may get to see some extra bases.
So I've been watching ChipFromSpace play on the streams a couple of times in the PWG streams, and a question just keeps popping into my head is like, how do you what is Chip's weakness here usually? Because he's good at the early game. He knows how his timing's well to get the army up. Like, what exactly does Classic Metal need to do against Chip?
Well, if you look at the first game, what he did was play defensively and get Chip to basically run into mines. Maybe that is a play here. I would ask Deadbones, because he did beat Chip 3-0 in their series, but maybe we'll see that match later. Who knows, depending on how these games go. But yeah, Chip's definitely been having a great, strong showing, and doesn't seem to be too susceptible to early game shenanigans as perhaps most more or less newer players might be. He's definitely grown in that regard.
Well, in the meantime, both sides just shoring up their squirrel count right now, 9-9. Classic Metal opting to put down those toads first, while ChipFromSpace goes for the squirrels instead. Classic Metal going for explosive damage there.
Toads in pure squirrel versus squirrel matchup are interesting, because if they can tank some damage, I guess, and then if they do get to blow up, they can swing the battle hugely in your favor.
I mean, all you need is
a little bit risky.
You just need to lead the squirrel shots towards a different target, and after that, the toads can just come in for free and get their explosions off pretty safely.
Well, I think if we looked at that last game, ChipFromSpace, he had 3 toads, which ended up taking a lot of fire, and then even one of them got to explode on Classic Metal squirrels, and then Chip just had way higher squirrel numbers to actually take out, to threaten Classic Metal's warrens. And it looks like Classic Metal's actually going to go for a push in.
He's going for that early expansion taking. Right there, right in front of Chip's nose right there. Chip definitely does not want this to be taken. Frogs coming out first. Now there are no frogs on the field, but Chip has too many squirrels for Classic Metal to deal with. He has to go on the retreat right now as Classic Metal running back to his own base, hoping that his reinforcements come in time, but Chip looking to be on the aggressive here. He's starting to mow down Classic Metal's units one by one.
Decent Warren tanking there from Classic Metal. He probably took the mill to take some fire, but he positioned his units in front of it, so it just ended up being, well, he lost 2 food in building that, so it wasn't a huge deal there. But losing the fight was definitely not something Classic Metal wanted to do there.
No. what was really nice that Chip did was making sure his toads went out first, just to intercept Classic Metal's own toads. And just because Chip had more toads, he had more chances for him to just stop the explosions happening on his squirrels. And his squirrels just went in and cleaned everything else up. And again, taking that early mill was an interesting decision from Classic Metal, indeed.
Yeah, it doesn't affect the actual economic situation all too much. ChipFromSpace does have a slight lead now because he's getting up a balloon, he's getting up an expansion. Balloon is just in a very defensive position for some vision, it looks like.
All right, here we go. Back to the battlefield once more. Toad explosions going off on both sides right now. But once again, Classic Metal is on the losing end of this exchange. He calls it GG.
Well, losing one fight for Classic Metal and then unable to get his army numbers up again, and that's going to be 2-1 for
There
Chip.
is a magic number. It's called 6 for the toads. 3 doesn't work. The 6 is what works, and since it's like it provides a better value because 3 toads never actually get to connect in reality. Well, you may think you may have some toads. You actually need 6 toads in order to secure some nice AoE damage, and if you have them streaming before that and the squirrels come after, it's just perfect. And you can clearly see that with even numbers, the 6 toads did much better there.
Definitely working out for Chip there. We'll see if Classic Metal adapts the unit selection, although the only units he's used so far actually seem to be working out in that first game. So
I'd like to see chameleons change. I haven't seen the chameleons. What guys do you think about chameleons?
I think with Chip going so heavily into toads, the chameleons will just prove to be even more, like, they won't get to do much. Because they will just take the explosions and they'll just die.
Well, ChipFromSpace is going to be thinking about taking that Badger, except goes for the... What? I thought I saw a Badger and Boar there for a second. That was very
We did see it, a Badger and Boar for a split second.
He plays boar, badger, owl, and fox as well. Sometimes
Badger pigeon is a fairly strong combination, although it doesn't quite measure up to the AoE capabilities of the boar, I believe. Not in a time where so many squirrels are on the field usually.
So, do you guys think that Classic Metal should be trying to take these games late rather than take these early engagements then?
I think with mines and barbed wire, he usually secures his advantage that way, and if he takes an economical gamble, we could see the repeat of game 1, but, facing Chip is, really hard in general, so, yeah.
Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is game number 4 right now. Chip ahead 2-1 and sitting in the southeast side. In the northwest, Classic Metal hoping to tie the series up and push it to a game number 5. Here we go. And both sides... I think we've seen this map configuration before.
It looks similar, I guess, because it's just, there's a hill, there's some mills in the middle, there's some high ground,
this sort of reminds me of the Xeno Acoup versus Shinyu game from November Knockout, where it was Shinyu on the high ground and Xeno from the south side. Xeno's approach was to contain his opponent as quickly as possible. And, with Classic Metal's build, maybe he could try that.
He could try it, but he doesn't quite have the right units for it, I don't think. Xeno did have the ferrets in that one game. So I think you need a strong tier 3 poking unit or like a zoning unit like a skunk or a squirrel to pull that off successfully. And also, with just barbed wire and mines, it's going to be tricky to do something like that, but he might try it. I think, honestly, Classic Metal's best bet is to just take a defensive position with mines and barbed wire again and try and get value that way, because the last 2 games where he tried to force himself an advantage definitely backfired.
Not too many places here for his barbed wire to be super effective, though. Most of the available building spaces are towards the sides of the map rather than up towards the middle, where unfortunately that mill there is blocking a lot of the building room that he could use.
Yeah, he might take that mill early to expand his territory a bit and not get too many farms on it. Getting some very aggressive war and positioning here already, so that might be his game plan.
Now, this is a unit we haven't actually seen Chip play yet, is the Falcon. And, I mean, what's the timing? What's the correct timing for the Falcon to happen here? In the meantime, before that, right now we do have a bit of a skirmish here. Classic Metal versus ChipFromSpace. ChipFromSpace actually takes that mill thanks to a victory of that fight there, taking out Classic Metal's own squirrels, although Classic Metal does have the instant reinforcements right there on the field. And now he's pushing the line slowly back away as Chip is now backing off towards his own base. And it looks like we're going to have a bit of a stalemate here as both sides take some nice heavy damage from each other.
That's what we call a skirmish. About the Falcons,
Yes.
As long
What's
as
the
there is
correct
no
timing?
as long as there is no fox on the field, the Falcons will do great. If there is a fox, the Falcons may as well not be there, I think.
All right, the first mine of the game picking their way forward, and ChipFromSpace is going to grab that first expansion, trying to tank some shots from ClassicMetal there. Fortunately, 60 food loss. Was it worth it here? ClassicMetal is starting to lose his units, and now he's going to have to retreat back. And Chip not going to chase. He may have seen
Chip
that mine
showing
building.
ClassicMetal how to do the mill tanking properly there. Definitely winning the engagement, and Chip is going to get more squirrels. ClassicMetal does have this one landmine to secure him a fight if Chip decides to push, but we'll see if Chip, he might just be happy taking this slight lead, go up to those 6 toads. We'll see if that is indeed the magical number. There we go, the second toad warren goes down.
Is that magic number that Lil Steamroller was talking about. 6 toads almost at the ready for Chip as he's starting to get them built. Meantime, ClassicMetal only with 1 warren of toads at his disposal here.
He does have the one landmine, but I don't know if ChipFromSpace is going to be the one to make the first move here, because he does have both players have a good number of expansions available to them, but leaving your army in a position like this is very scary.
Now ClassicMetal just weaving his way in and out of that high ground, unsure what to do, just waiting for the food, waiting for his units to reinforce. He put down a lot of warns at once, so it's going to take a bit of time for them to make their way to the field, but it does outnumber ChipFromSpace's army count. So
Chip sneaking in that expansion, which is going to be fairly safe because both armies are sort of facing off against each other, and now the balloon play from Chip is going to give him a lot of vision, even if his commander isn't there. So if he can get that up, I think he's going to be in a pretty good spot. Although ClassicMetal's sheer squirrel numbers may be enough to overpower this.
He's just getting that squirrel ball all ready and built up. 24 squirrels almost at the ready here. ChipFromSpace does get that balloon up.
Chip. 2 or 3 good toad hits will decimate ClassicMetal squirrels. So I think ClassicMetal knows this, has seen a good number of toads. So just going to add in some toads on his own, get some farms.
You know what you do when you see 24 squirrels your enemy has? You take out that boar as soon as possible. Boar now making its way onto the field right now, building behind Chip's line.
ClassicMetal is going to go for economy instead of tier 3, which is, I think, in Chip's favor, even if Chip has some food in this sniper balloon and the extra windmill.
He feels very confident in his numbers. Hopefully, he'll be able to maneuver his squirrels around enough to get the damage done. He's making sure he doesn't get in range of the balloon, so he doesn't lose any squirrels in a very unfortunate manner. In the meantime, that boar is soon going to get built. Unfortunately, slightly supply block. There it is.
40 seconds from now, it's going to be go time at just about 6 minutes.
All right, here's the window for ClassicMetal. He's starting to make his way in right now, trying to take as much as he can. His units, though, focusing on that mill in the front lines. His toes get wiped out. And now ClassicMetal is starting to lose a lot of his squirrels now. What happened to his 24 squirrels?
Half of them shot the mill. ClassicMetal could have taken a slightly different angle to make sure he wasn't hitting that mill, but he just went straight in. And Chip definitely maybe a bit of foresight there, making sure his mill took a lot of the damage, and that boar is going to come out sooner rather than later. ClassicMetal has a lot of economy here, but I don't know if he has the firepower to deal with a boar.
He is ironically supply blocked as well. His units are just continually streaming onto the field. Luckily, it only takes like a second or two for the block to become undone, but quite a sight to see for ClassicMetal.
You will choke your production just a little bit. There are some mines here, so if Chip runs, he's going to run into it with his toads.
Oh, there he is. The mines get blown up, although the toads do get off their explosion, taking out a good chunk. And now the boar in play right now, streaming that fire all over the place, and ClassicMetal's units just don't stand a chance against this boar. It looks like Chip has done it. We see the boar coming out here. He's just burning down these grass huts one by one. Just superior firepower.
Working out against Pure Squirrel. Chip doesn't have many farms left, but ClassicMetal doesn't have many warrens left. So unless a miracle happens, it is going to be Chip's game to take.
I mean, he has nothing on the field really. That squirrel doing its best, but that's going to be game. ChipFromSpace takes it 3-1 over ClassicMetal, and will be moving on to the losers finals, as unfortunately ClassicMetal will be dropped out of the tournament.
Taking 4th place. Did a good job though, taking that